All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is holding the guitar. Now, one of the things you might not be aware of is a lot of guitars are head heavy. Like if I just let go of this guitar, you see how the head drops? So, what that means is in order to maintain the balance of the instrument, I have to maintain a small force on my hand at all times, which is not really optimal. Okay? So there's a few things you can do to counteract that. One is if you get a strap, you have to set the height of the strap so that it just kind of rests comfortably. Another thing you can get, and this is something that I recommend for everybody, this is a footstool. So a lot of classical guitarists use it, but I use it all the time no matter what I play. And what I do is I put this under my right foot as a right-handed guitar player, and watch what that does. See that? So here's the guitar, just normal. Now, it just angles the neck a little bit closer towards me, and it locks it in. Now I have a point of contact in my sternum and in my leg. So I highly recommend that. Another reason I recommend that is because if you don't use a footstool, you're kind of a victim to the height of whatever chair or stool you're sitting in, okay? So depending on what stool or chair you're sitting in, how high it is, it's going to change the angle that your leg extends from your torso. And so like if I'm on a high stool, the guitar is naturally going to want to slip out like this, okay? So I can counteract that by setting the height on the footstool. So the other reason that I said I like a footstool is if I don't use a footstool, see my hand is down here. If you look at my wrist angle, it's more curved because I have to drop my shoulder to try to get my hand around to play the guitar. So if I have a footstool, it just lifts it enough where my wrist is straight. You know, I want my wrist to be straight as much as possible, because if you're playing like this all the time, that's going to create problems. All right, so this guitar it's more head heavy than the other one. So the tendency is for the neck to go down like this. So to try to counteract that, I have the strap that I use even when I'm sitting down, and then I choke up on the strap, which raises the neck up, and I use the footstool. Right now, the footstool, I have it on the highest setting. And you can see, and then you can also set the height of the chair. So the guitar is just right here. So you don't want to ever reach down for the guitar. Let me just say, another piece of equipment that I recommend is something like this. This is just for changing strings, and maybe I'll do a video on that at some point. Another thing, let me say one other thing I forgot to say. Your nails, you really want to trim them. See how I have a little nail here? I need to trim these. Okay, because if you have too much nail, and every person's fingernail is a little bit different. Some people, if you have just a tiny bit of nail, you're not going to be able to get on your fingertips. Me, I can get away with having a little bit of nail. That's why I'm fine right now, but I do have to cut these. So just be aware of that. And then you can also get a metal file like this. So, you know, you can cut your nails and then file them to finish it off. If you want to play with your finger, if you ever want to play fingerstyle, you want to get something like this anyways for your picking hand. That's something else that I'll get into later. Now, something else I want to talk about is how I hold the pick. So here's the pick that I use, and I take my thumb, I put it so the middle of the pick is roughly right where this line is on my thumb. And then I take this part of my hand and I wrap it. So it's like this. And most beginners, when they pick up a pick, they hold it like that. Okay? So if you hold it like this, you have too much of the pick extending outward. You need to grip it lower, like that. Okay? Now, the problem with gripping it too high is when you hit the string, sometimes it can move because basically there's more torque on the edge of the pick. The less high up you grip. So if I'm picking single note lines, I'll move my wrist like this. Pick, pick, pick. Down pick, up pick. And if I have to strum, I change the position of the pick slightly. So here's picking single note stuff and then strumming. And the reason for that is a lot of times strumming is kind of it's a sloppier mechanic because you're coming in from so far away. There's a lot of force. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. If you're picked too low, you're going to be slamming your fingers into the strings and you're just going to get a less consistent response. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and make sure to check out the full playlist on my channel for more. Thanks.